Okay, new Metroid Prime 4 trailer. Let's go. I love this game. Can't wait for it to come out. I'm so glad we got a new trailer and it looks awesome. So, I'm just going to have the footage in the background. There's some new details that are pretty interesting. We learned the name of the planet is Veros, and Samus has some weird purpley glow, and we can see also that there's this ancient race called the Lemorn, that's it. And when she scans this, it also mentions a psychic mote in the forehead, and that'll come into play later. So after she does her pew pew blasty, we get a new look at her, and you can see a purple crystal in the center of her forehead. And these new enemies look awesome too. Combat seems to be about what you would expect in Metroid Prime. I didn't play the remaster of Metroid Prime, but it seems to be kind of similar to the way it worked with the Wii remote. Still have lock-on targeting, some aiming involved as well. And here it shows her getting powered up and explains that the purple energy is actually psychic abilities granted to her by, I assume, the technology of this ancient race. So she can use her psychic abilities to solve puzzles and do combat. There's this weird bullet time thing to take out multiple enemies at once. It certainly opens a lot of possibilities for non-traditional Metroid upgrades and powers, but I hope that they have a good mix of the traditional ones in there as well. Here we get a view of the alien race. It reminds me of Metroid Prime 2 in the fact that they're probably all gone and just left messages behind for her. I don't like the fact that she's referred to as the chosen one, kind of a lame story trope in my opinion, but hey, here we get to see a glimpse at a boss fight, which actually includes a little glimpse of a Metroid, and I assume she gets some more powers after that. So yeah, Metroid Prime 4 coming later this year. I really hope that we get a Nintendo Switch 2 version announced here pretty soon with the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. And little scene after, we see a brand new suit. It actually reminds me a lot of the white suit, and the red coloring reminds me a lot of Iron Man. It is pretty cool. So yeah, that's the trailer. So what are my thoughts? Well, overall, I'm happy, a little confused, and I guess slightly concerned. Here's why. First of all, the vibe of the game looks great. It really looks like a return to form with the original Metroid Prime of being on a strange new world. It's isolated, there's an ancient civilization that has records left behind that you have to find the lore, piece it together while you explore through this labyrinth, solving puzzles and fighting enemies, right? So that's great. Though the story kind of reminds me, like I said earlier, about Metroid Prime 2 in the fact that there is a record of the alien race that talks to you directly. Metroid Prime 1 didn't have any of that. That was definitely more isolationist. Which makes me wonder about the gimmick, because Metroid Prime 2 and 3 kind of had a gimmick that was explained by their subtitles, 2 being the Dark World and 3 being the corruption with the Phazon powers, right? So beyond, we know at least that there is some kind of teleporty thingy going on, as well as these psychic abilities. So is teleportation a psychic ability? And also there have been some theories that people are thinking about this might be time travel instead of just traveling through distance. I don't know about that. I would imagine that this is probably a world that is very inaccessible, and during the fight with Silux, there's probably some kind of battle where things don't go well for Samus and she has to escape, and she ends up being teleported here through some kind of device that the Galactic Federation was researching, which is probably what Silex was after right? And so Silex wanted to get access to this world, and Samus got there first. Will Silex appear later? I mean, he has to, right? He's basically the main antagonist. But what kind of power or energy source, or what could Silex's goal be here? And it seems to involve the Metroids as well. It seems like he would bring Metroids in, since that scene with the boss fight includes Metroids. And another story element that I'm wondering about, I expect it to make a return. Where is Metroid Prime? For those who don't know, Metroid Prime is just not the name of the series, but it's actually a character. The final boss in Metroid Prime was Metroid Prime. It was like this Metroid that was infused with a shit ton of Phazon and evolved in a really wacky way, right? And then Metroid Prime returns in the other two games as Dark Samus. I'm not going to get into all the details about that though, but the point is, Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3 were all about Metroid Prime and Phazon. And at the end of Metroid Prime 3, supposedly those storylines were wrapped up. Metroid Prime is no more, Phazon is no more. But since this is still a Metroid Prime game, will those elements return? Will Metroid Prime appear here somehow along with Phazon? Maybe Phase wasn't the original source of Phazon? I don't know. But enough about the lore and speculation. Let's look at the actual game footage that we have. The combat, it looks good. It doesn't look amazing. It's playing it safe. It's what you would expect from Metroid Prime, right? It's not doing anything revolutionary. Personally, I would like Metroid to adapt things from combat systems from more modern FPS games, because I find one of the big cons with the combat in a first-person Metroid game is you lose a lot of that agility, fluidity that you would get from the 2D games. Samus isn't this slow walking tank turret. You know, she runs around a lot, she jumps around a lot, she kicks, she punches, she's a badass, and you don't really get that sense in Metroid Prime. So I wish they would have taken some more risks, gone into a different direction with the combat, but it will service the game just fine. And you just know what to expect, and hopefully the new psychic powers or whatever kind of abilities will add some excitement to the mix. The enemy types, they look really cool, and a lot of them seem to be similar to previous enemies in Metroid Prime. I haven't seen anything too crazy yet. Even the first boss fight kind of reminds me of the plant boss in Metroid Prime 1, but that's probably a boss early on, right? So, how about looks, you might ask? Well, I'm kind of mixed on it. Like, it looks fine, but it definitely doesn't blow me away. It kind of gives me Twilight Princess vibes, which might sound kind of weird, but just follow me. Twilight Princess, it looked really good during the initial trailers, but it came out so late in the GameCube's life cycle that day one when that game came out, it looked like 5 years old. It looked bad. Like, it looked even worse than Wind Waker. Even with the HD remakes, I can't stand the look of Twilight Princess. It was ugly day one, which is really sad. I don't think this is as bad, because the jump from something like this to Switch 2 isn't going to be as great as something like the GameCube to HD games on the Xbox 360, things like that, right? So it looks old. It doesn't look like a game coming out in 2025, and that's obvious. Hopefully it will be a bit better on the Switch 2, I'm hoping, but I don't think it's going to be like a giant revamp or anything like that. Maybe some higher resolution textures here and there, maybe some enhanced effects, better lighting, things like that. But it really doesn't look amazing, right? And that's one of the things that I loved about the first Metroid Prime game. When I played that game for the first time, I was blown away by how beautiful it was. Hopefully, they can enhance it a good amount on Switch 2, and looking forward to Metroid Prime 5 and 6 in the future, and I'm sure those games will be beautiful as well. I see a lot of people out on the internet saying that the game looks beautiful and like, are we sure this is Switch 1? It looks like a Switch 2 game. Like, no, the game doesn't look impressive graphically, right? But that's fine. It's Metroid. It's Metroid Prime. I've been waiting how many years for this? Oh God, I just want it. I just want it now. Well, that's all I have for now. I know that this is a bit different from videos I've typically been making, but I want to branch out into videos like this about things that I'm just into, and I'm a huge Metroid Prime fanboy, a huge Metroid fanboy. I always have been, always will be, and I'm really looking forward to this. Is there anything in the trailer that caught your guys' attention that I didn't mention? If so, leave it down in the comments below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe if you want to hear more about Metroid Prime, as well as videos about whatever kind of game I'm playing. See ya.